How'd you get the news that you'd won? How do they tell you?
The scrutineer comes into the back room and gives you a piece of paper about 2 minutes before it's announced.
So you had the heads up.
2 minutes, yeah.
And was Sandra Pupatello with you backstage
Yes.
getting the news at the same time?
We were both in a room. Her person was giving her the information and mine was giving me the information. And, then we both had it and we acknowledged each other and then we basically went out on the stage.
So that's not much time to get your game face on, is it?
No, it's not. It's not a lot of time. And she did a great job, and I hope I did too.
My first question is pretty simple. Can you believe this?
No. No, it is. There's a there's a surreal quality to it. You just sort of can't really believe it. And the thing about a campaign is that it's so focused. You are focusing on every day performing, and of course you're thinking about the end goal. But for me, it's getting through each day and keeping my energy up and saying the things I need to say and meeting the people I need to meet. And then when you've done everything you can do, then you wait for the results. But there isn't really a lot of reflection time during the campaign. The only thing I did, I did write my speech. About 3 weeks ago, I wrote the speech that I was going to give here, and then I gave it to the people who were going to edit it and change it and do all of that. But I really wanted to get the framework of what I was going to say down on paper, because I kept waking up at 3 in the morning thinking I'm going to say this, and I thought, okay, I'm just going to get up and write the thing. So I did, and so that actually took a load off my mind thinking about what I was going to be doing here today.
A couple of quotes I want to share with you in the lead up to this question. Bobby Kennedy used to say, if you got a problem, shine a lantern on it. David Peterson was in that chair more than a few hours ago now, and when he said that his wife Shelley has an expression, that if you got a skeleton in the closet, as he called it, drag it out and dance with it.
Yeah.
You took a big risk in your speech to absolutely go face on the issue that I guess a lot of people have been whispering about, namely your sexual orientation, and I want to know why you decided to hit that so hard.
Because I wanted everybody in the province to know, I wanted every member of the Liberal Party to know who I am and how I am going to deal with issues. And it had been raised so many times in the press, and it just was something that even though people knew, it didn't seem to go away. It didn't seem to be something that everybody could just say, oh, well, we can set that aside. It kept coming up. And so I thought, I'm going to come into the convention and I'm going to lay it on the table and make it so clear that people have to make a decision about whether they're ready to accept that or not.
Anybody in your campaign tell you not to do it?
No. They knew better than to do that.
They knew better. They knew you wanted to do it, and therefore
exactly.
It was a done deal.
Exactly.
How do you think the speech went?
I was very happy with it. I was very happy. I felt that I did it exactly the way I wanted to. Of course, there'd been lots of practice, and you never quite know how it's going to go.
Lots of practice, and you flubbed the kickoff line.
I know.
The kicker at the end there.
You just never know what's going to happen.
Although you recovered so nicely and so authentically that it went over
Actually, somebody
nicely.
asked me if that was planned.
To blow the last line?
I said, no, not really.
No. Consensus in the room, obviously, you've heard. It was the best speech of the day by far. Do you think that helped in subsequent ballots?
I think what some people said to me was that for folks who didn't know me, the speech really helped them to see that side of me. There's been this kind of talk about, well, is she feisty enough? Is she able to confront issues? Is she able to speak out and be strong? And I wanted to show people my version of that. I'm different than the other candidates. We all have our own styles, but I have my own version of feistiness and my own version of strength. And I wanted people to see that because I think that inner resolve is what I bring to this job.
The first line out of your mouth for the speech, I'm not sure it was scripted, I don't even know if you remember saying it, was after the big dance show.
Yeah.
How's that for sizzle?
Right.
Why'd you say that?
I said that because there was a journalist who said that wasn't sure I had the sizzle.
Who would say such a silly thing?
I don't know who said that.
I can't think of it either. Okay, let's talk about the job at hand now.
Yes.
Actually, before I do that, let me ask one last question about just sort of all of this that took place.
Yeah.
When you were 2 votes behind on the first ballot, I looked over at one of the guys here and I said, "It's over, she's won," meaning you. Did you know that too?
We were very excited because it meant we had momentum. We'd gotten more of the ex officio vote than we'd expected, and so we were pretty excited about that. I mean, there were lots of nervous moments after that, let me tell you. But that was an indicator that, you know what, this was within our reach for sure.
Not necessarily a huge shock that Eric Hoskins went to you. Yes, a bit of a shock that Charles Sousa went to you. How'd that happen?
Well, Charles and I have had lots of conversations over the last 3 months, you know, and our value system is not very far apart. And I think that, again, in the same way that rumors and characterizations grow up during these things, a characterization of him that wasn't necessarily accurate had been created. So
when did you know
when
he was
and
coming?
when he and I talked, it was like, you know, is it this center right thing? You're center left, I'm center right. You know, is that really where we are? And I think there's much more commonality. But the other side of it is he gets how important it is, and I get how important it is that we have a balance. You know, that we have people who have slightly different views of the world. So I think it was a good moment for us for sure.
And do you actually know before he walks across the room that he's coming over to you?
Actually, we didn't know exactly what was happening. And in fact, when he started to move, we were people in the box and they were saying, "He's moving. Okay, Charles is moving." And I would look over and he was standing perfectly still. So I had no idea what they were talking about. And then he came out and went around and we weren't sure exactly where he was going. So that was one of the moments that was very important because we needed Charles to come to us and we just weren't exactly sure. And then when we started to move, it was terrific.
And Kennedy moved, I guess, about 20 minutes later. And did
Kennedy
you know
came
that
right
was
over. So Gerard and I did have a conversation just before that happened, so he gave me a heads up that they were coming.
It would be happening. Okay.
Yes.
The job ahead.
Yes.
Who's your first phone call to tomorrow?
Well, actually, I just had a conversation with Tim Hudak.
Already?
He reached out, yes, he called, and I had said I was going to call both Tim and Andrew Horvath tomorrow, but Tim already called me, and we're going to try to get together on Monday. He's around on Monday.
Was it anything more than kind of congrats, courtesy call, that type of thing?
Well, we both agreed that he and I, actually, Tim has lived in the neighborhood that I live in North Toronto for a while. So every now and then when I'm running, I'll see him out walking his dog.
Now, when you say running, you don't mean for office. You mean actually.
I mean actually
with
jogging.
your legs.
Yeah, jogging, yeah. So we've had casual interactions, and we acknowledge that we both have had good conversations in the past. So who knows? We will have a conversation on Monday, and I hope to talk to Andrew Horvath either tonight or tomorrow.
What do you do about Sandra Pupatello now?
Well, I'm going to, before I meet with the leaders of the opposition, I'm going to be meeting with all of my colleague candidates and just finding out where they're at and taking stock of that situation, because I don't know exactly what they all want to do. I don't know what Sandra and Gerard are going to do, for example, but I look forward to talking to them.
If she were to say, "Yeah, sure, I'll run in a by-election and come back to public life if you make me finance minister," what would you say to her?
Well, I'm not going to play that version of "Let's make a deal," but I hope she will run. It would be great if she would run.
You would like her to run? I
would like her to run. I would like her to be part of the caucus and cabinet.
Would she have the senior-most job in your cabinet if she were to run?
You know what? I have to build a cabinet, Steve, and you've studied politics. You know that is the hardest job that a premier has to do, and it has to be done with care and consideration. And so I need to find out where everybody's at, and I need to move the pieces of paper on the wall and figure out who fits where based on what their talents are, what their experience is, and what they're interested in doing.
Have you had any contact yet with the Lieutenant Governor or the outgoing Premier McGuinty to find out when you actually get to take over? I have some people who have been thinking about transition for me, and there has been some outreach. So I know that there's a long list of information, long list of facts that I'm going to be able to see tomorrow. I haven't seen that piece of paper yet, but I know that there's a schedule and there are things that I'll get a better sense of that tomorrow. These things, often take 2 weeks, but you don't really have 2 weeks to kill to do
No,
this, do
you see, that's the thing, and I know that makes February 19th a very tight timeline, but I'm committed to it, and we'll figure out a way to do it.
You have to, in relatively short order, bring the House back, have a throne speech. You've got a budget coming presumably a couple of months later.
Yeah.
You're in a minority parliament. You've got a really hard job to build a cabinet because you've obviously got leadership candidate considerations, supporter consideration. I mean, you've got a mountain of work ahead of you, and you've said you want to be the agriculture minister as well.
So
how are you going to do all this?
So I am. I have said that, and I believe that it is the right thing to do. There will be a strong parliamentary assistant. There is a strong deputy minister in the Ministry of Agriculture, and I will take that guiding role because I think it's very important. As Dalton McGuinty took innovation, research and innovation when we first came to office, I think it's very important to shine a light on that file. I said I would take it for up to a year, Steve. So this is not a forever proposition, and it's a matter of whatever number of months that I think is necessary to make sure that files like the wind turbine sightings, the horse racing industry, making sure that getting the regulations, at least getting on a path to making sure that the regulations that are getting in the way of our agriculture, whatever those are, our agri-food industry, I want to make sure that we're at least examining those things, and I want that directed from the Premier's office.
How's it going to feel the first time somebody calls you Premier?
I probably won't turn my head. I'll be
looking
looking for Dalton. Exactly.
Well, we want to thank you very much for dropping by our station here at Maple Leaf Gardens, and we want to offer you congratulations as well.
Thank you.
All the candidates did, but you also, the candidate you were on day one and the candidate you are today, those are two different people. I don't know if you appreciate that or know that, but
thank you.
You all improved considerably.
Somebody said to me that a leader is forged through a process like this, and I do feel that confidence. It's not arrogance; it's just a sort of solid belief in what I can do, and so I'm really happy to be able to bring that to the province. And I hope that we'll be able to have conversations. I've said this a couple of times, and I haven't had this conversation with you off camera, but I really think that it's important for the people of Ontario to have an opportunity to hear directly from the Premier, and I would hope that we can have a conversation about how that might happen.
We'll watch and analyze.
Okay.
That's
Excellent.
Kathleen Wynne, incoming Premier, 25th Premier in the history of the province of Ontario, and need we say it, the first woman to ever have the job. Thanks so much for stopping by.
Thanks, Steve.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Support Ontario's public television. Donate at tvo.org.